of metal.
Yeah, for what?
Whose is it? Hello my beautiful friends, long time no see. I'm so happy to be back making content for you, and today is going to be a house video, so I hope you're excited because I definitely am. I know I've been away for a very long time. There have been lots of things going on in my life. One of those being I am pregnant. So that is obviously very exciting news. With that being said, now that we have a baby on the way, we have to make room for a nursery. And as many of you already know, my house is super old. There are lots of mysteries here, rooms that I've never seen. So we are ready to take you on this journey with us as we redo one of our old bedrooms into the baby's room. Now, before we get started, I want to say a huge thank you for 100,000 subscribers. I'm pretty sure the last time I posted a video I was around 25,000, so this for me is a huge deal. And for everybody that is new here, welcome to my channel. I'm super happy to have you. I have been posting short videos while I've been away, and one of them that caught your guys' attention was this one. Do I think my house was part of the Underground Railroad? I get asked this question a lot. Now, geographically, this just doesn't make a lot of sense. I live in western Michigan. Most of the route for the Underground Railroad ran through southern Michigan to the Canadian border. My husband and I have been searching for answers inside of this house since we moved back in over 4 years ago. And honestly, the more we find, the more questions we have. We have a couple theories about this room specifically. There's a cement wall built right in the doorway, and one day we decided to jump over it. This was the first time I had ever seen this room in my entire life. And once I was inside, it became clear to me that there was a doorway connecting this room to the one next to it, but it seems like it's been blocked off on purpose. While we were in there, we found a few objects: a blue candle, a handwritten letter that had been cut in half, and half of a Victorian-aged photo. What do you guys think? That video racked up over 2 million views. So obviously the interest in my house is still alive and well. So we're gonna continue, and I'm super glad that you're all joining me on this journey. And make sure you watch until the end because something really scary happened. So with all of that being said, let's get started on the nursery. So if you've watched my videos for a while, you can probably already tell that I have a little bit of a different setup here. And that's because the bedroom that we're now going to be using as a nursery used to be my office. So the first thing that we had to do was clean out this space. And then we took all of my office furniture from the nursery and we moved it into this room and another room. So for the time being, it's quite cluttered in here. But then once we got everything cleaned out, we were able to get started. So this is what we're starting with. As you can see, this is kind of a multi-purpose room, and we definitely have our work cut out for us. My dog even agrees. So it took us a few hours to get this cleaned out, but once we did, we jumped right into action. Now it's worth noting that this is my childhood bedroom, and that I have a lot of scary stories of things that have happened in here. But before I jump into those, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of this room. This is one of the original rooms in the house, which means it was built in 1848, and it used to serve as the kitchen. Now mind you, my dad also slept in this room when he was a kid, and he's never seen it without the paneling. So now I have a story time. Back in November, my husband and I went to see a medium, and the medium was able to connect to my grandma, who also lived in this house. And while she was connecting with my grandma, she said something that stuck out to me. She said, "There's a noise coming from upstairs." And I told her, "We don't have an upstairs. This is a one-story house." And she said, "Well, then it's coming from the attic. And your grandmother says you need to take care of it." And at that moment, my husband and I both looked at each other in disbelief because we knew exactly what she was talking about. The night before we went to see the medium, my husband and I were sitting in the living room watching TV when we heard a squirrel rolling walnuts around in the attic. When I came home, I told my dad about the experience and he laughed, saying that my grandmother used to stand by the windows with a shotgun to shoot squirrels out of the trees because they would get in our house. And the first thing we saw when we tore the paneling off from these walls were these holes where the squirrels have been trying to get into the house. So the first ever scary story I have that happened in this room actually happened to my sisters before I was born. They had a pet hamster that drove them absolutely insane. The hamster would run on its wheel all night, keeping them awake and sleep during the day, which totally makes sense because hamsters are nocturnal. But they were just kids and they didn't know. So anyways, the hamster eventually passes away and they bury him in the backyard. But being kids, they hold on to the hope that maybe they'll get another hamster and they leave his cage in their room, only to be woken up in the middle of the night by the sound of the wheel turning long after the hamster is dead. So the first thing that we found in the room was actually hidden in the wall, and it's a medal from a rowing competition. I have no idea how it got back there because, again, my dad grew up in this room and he's never seen it without the paneling. Another important detail that I can't leave out is that the part of the basement we've never seen is underneath this room. I've often wondered if that's the reason why this room is so haunted. Both of my sisters left for the military before I was 10 years old, so I've spent a lot of time in this room by myself. I decided to move out of this room and into our guest bedroom when I was around 12 years old. Right before doing so, my sister had just came home to visit after spending time in Iraq. She was too afraid to sleep in the guest bedroom by herself because, again, it's haunted, so she asked if she could sleep in this bedroom with me. I gave her my bed and I slept on an air mattress on the floor. At the time, I wasn't allowed to have a TV in my room, but my dad gave me his old stereo system that I would listen to fall asleep. But on this day, my sister woke me up in the middle of the night wanting to sleep on the air mattress with me. She said that while we had fallen asleep listening to the radio, it had suddenly went static, so she got up to turn it off. But by the time she got back to the bed, the radio had turned itself back on, and by the time she woke me up, it was static again. But believe it or not, that was not the situation that made me move out of that room. Ultimately, the reason I did is because I kept waking up with my skateboard covering my feet. It's a pretty weird and very specific thing to happen, but my parents swore up and down that they weren't doing it to me, and I believe them. And before anybody asks, no, I do not have a history of sleepwalking. I spent many sleepless nights in this room. Between the floorboards creaking and the scratching down the walls, it was all pretty normal to me growing up in this house. But there was something about the skateboard being placed on me while I slept that really made me feel uncomfortable. So I moved into the guest bedroom, but unfortunately, things only got worse from there. But those are stories for another day. We were able to get all the paneling off and even get a little sneak peek into what the squirrels were doing in the walls. And in this clip, my dad is pointing to show me the original roof of the house. This is a pretty cool experience for me. But while we were working, something, of course, had to happen. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I felt a burning sensation on my stomach, which was really strange to me because I wasn't doing anything but standing around. And then, when I lifted my shirt, this is what I saw. 3 fresh scratches right across my pregnant belly. So obviously after this we took a little bit of a break, but we've since started back up, so make sure you tune in next time because we're doing something really cool and I'm very excited to share it with you.